Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Just One More Level podcast. I am your co-host, John.
And I'm Christian.
And tonight we are going to be covering Five Nights at Freddy's. Personal favorite of mine. It's this little indie horror sleeper hit that gained...
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not so little anymore.
No. But it very much started out that way. The developer, Scott Cawthon, was kind of on his last leg, similar to last week's episode with Final Fantasy. He was on his sort of last ditch effort to thrust himself into the spotlight. He had made some tiny RPG style games beforehand, and they were all very or at least he attempted to make them family oriented, but everybody kept commenting that his creatures and characters were just eerie. They left a very strange feel in the way that he animated them and presented them. So he said, "All right, you want strange? I'll give you something to be scared of."
Right.
And the game has since spawned massive success. That single game blew up all over YouTube and streaming at the time. Everybody was playing it and talking about it. All the way up to the biggest Let's Players, your Markipliers and PewDiePies and Jacksepticeyes of the world were all playing it. And all of the sequels. The game has since spawned, I believe, 4 official sequels, with one on the way.
Right.
4 spin-off titles, I believe, including an AR title and a VR title. And the newest one, the 5th official sequel, is going to be a launch title for the next generation of home gaming consoles, the PlayStation 5.
Which is crazy to me that it was like a big announcement thing that was made during the PlayStation 5 event. I mean, good for Scott. Like, that's amazing for him.
Right.
But I just could not believe whenever that popped up as one of the... Right? To be a headliner at the Sony show, like, that was amazing. Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, also it has spawned endless amounts of merchandise, and there's a huge book series now with almost a dozen books. They're shorter novella-style books, similar to some old R.L. Stine Goosebumps books and things like that. But it is massive, to say the least, at this point in time. So Christian, what did you think? I know this is your first time playing the game.
Yeah, so I'll lead by saying that, like John said there, it is my first time playing the game, and I played roughly an hour and a half of it. In the footage that's on screen now, you can see I made it up to, well, it's night 3 right now, but I think I actually made it up to night 4. I didn't make it any farther than that. But anyways, I do actually know a lot about the lore, not from playing the games, but from watching YouTube videos and whatnot, and that's what I actually really enjoy about the game, is all the deep lore, the hidden lore. Gameplay wise, unfortunately, I don't have very good opinions of it, sadly.
I can understand.
Yeah, it's simple. Obviously it's simple, and Scott's background was kind of making simple games. There are good things about it though, and we will touch upon that. But like, the first thing that really irked me was, being a PC gamer, I'm used to having options. Right, I load up a game, and that is the first thing I do. Every game I play, I load it up, and I hop in the options, see what I can play with. At least change the resolution, pick which monitor I'm running it on, whether I want VSync or whatever. Nothing.
Right.
Not a single option.
No.
You can't even change the resolution. If I'm not mistaken, it's stuck at 1280 by 720. So I was a little disappointed in that.
I believe you can. I'm sorry. You can. I think you can change the resolution if you're playing the mobile version.
Okay, sure.
I know that much because I have the mobile version, and you can choose to either play it in the original resolution, or you can fit it to your screen. Which for me, I have like a little one of the longer, like the Plus phones, so you can fit it to the screen, and it feels more wraparound. And there's a couple different options too, I believe, with moving your phone can move the camera and like different things like that, or you can choose to tap it or drag it. A couple of different things like that, but I think it can actually speak to probably why he was able to make it such a success, is because it's so simple and accessible, and he was able to port it to mobile, which these days, if you port a game to mobile, you're golden. Like,
right? I mean, every game these days pretty much is ported to mobile. Call of Duty has a mobile version at this point. And like, I understand, and with the style of game, it doesn't need excessive options. but a resolution option at least. Like, bare minimum, let me select what
Right.
resolution I'm playing at, right? To not even have
Sure,
that it killed me. Technically, there is one option for the game. If you know much about Windows PCs, Alt-Enter is a shortcut to either make something full screen or non-full screen. You can do that.
Okay.
That is the one option in PC games, or in the Steam version here. So I mean that kind of bugged me. But once I actually got into the game, controls were pretty easy to figure out. The moving the mouse back and forth is a little bit weird for me because I have 3 monitors, right? And my center monitor is my default. Since this isn't an exclusive full screen game, meaning that my mouse isn't locked to the game, if I move my mouse too far to one side or the other, I go off of the game screen and the camera actually stops moving. So again, another kind of annoying thing that would have been fixed if there were proper options for the game. Or could have been fixed at least if that was one of the options that he gave. But besides that little thing, the controls are intuitive, right? You just move the mouse back and forth, and whichever side of the screen your mouse is on is which way the camera pans. You just touch the bottom. At first I thought it was a button, but you actually just touch the bottom with the mouse and that pulls up your camera, touch it again to close it, which actually, once you get into the rhythm of it's pretty nice because you can pull the camera up and down really quickly. So that's nice. I do like that. I think that was a good decision. The cameras, you just click on the rooms for whatever cameras you want to watch. The lights and the doors, you just click on the lights and door buttons, which are very big, visible, like easy to see. So control-wise, I would say the game is actually pretty decent. I will give it that. Like it runs well. There's no complaints there.
Yeah, I believe it's kind of like Doom. You can run this game on a lot. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's in Steam, but I think I originally downloaded the game close to when it came out. I think on Desora. And
probably,
I believe
that sounds right.
The minimum requirements for playing it was Windows XP. I could be wrong. Yeah. I think it could have been Windows Vista, but
with as simple as the game is, I would not be surprised if XP was the minimum. Plus, the game series is what, 5 years old at this point, roughly?
6.
6 years old.
This first title was early 2014, I believe.
And it was just approximately 4 or 5 years ago that Microsoft completely stopped supporting Windows XP. Sorry, Windows XP, not Windows in general.
Right.
So it wouldn't actually be that surprising to me. And a lot of gamers for a long time stuck with XP just because it was subjectively the superior option of Windows, the superior version. So a lot of people actually kept that for a long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, to be honest. One other thing though, just real quick, that really irked me. So the game froze up on me like the first time I launched it, and I thought maybe there was like a problem with the options or something back on this options thing. So the first thing I did was hit the escape button, and I was like, oh shit, the game crashed. So then I launch it again, and I get into the game, and there's no option button. So I hit new game, and then I get into like the proper game, start to play. I'm like, all right, I'll hit escape to pause it so I can pull up the option menu. It fucking closes the game. Escape quits the game straight up. Yes. No dialogue box, doesn't pause, nothing. Just straight kills the game.
Crashes your game.
Oh, why? Like, oh, that's so annoying. Just because, like, it makes sense. Like, it's the escape key, but every other game out there uses that as either a pause, options, whatever button. So for that to just straight close without even popping up with a dialogue to be like, hey, do you actually want to quit the game? Oh, man. That killed me.
Yeah, and it's well, you know. So gameplay wise, I can tell you what I enjoy about this game.
Go ahead.
At some point, of course, the scare factor wears off. At that point, it's not scary anymore. It's not horrifying. But I remember when it came out, it was very much a product of this time, and now, I mean, it's been ripped off and paid homage to
countless number of times. Yeah.
Right, and even new games have tried to piggyback off of certain aspects of it, you know. But when this came out, it was very, very unique in the way that it did it, because typically horror games achieve scares by forcing you to do something that you don't want to do. They force you to walk down a hallway, to encounter an enemy, to open a door that you don't want to open because you know something scary is on the other side. But I think that this game forcing you to do nothing. It's
I
not
was gonna
survival
say,
horror. You know?
it does the same thing, just kind of in reverse. It's still forcing
It's
things
in
you
reverse,
don't want to
yes.
do, but not in the same
Sure.
way. You're not walking towards the enemy. The enemy's coming towards you, and your defenses are slowly
Right.
running out, constantly slowly running out. So you have to be very careful. So
Right.
what you would
Yes.
want to do is to just close your doors, basically,
Mm.
and keep yourself safe.
Right.
But what the game forces you to do is the very thing that leads to your death: leaving the doors open, turning off your lights, checking your cameras constantly, etc. So I will say it's an interesting balance there. I think I will get tired of it. I know the other games add more little mechanics to vary it up a little bit, like the other ones in the series. But I will say, by the end of my hour and a half, I was kind of getting bored of how simplistic it was. I found myself like browsing through Twitter or Facebook and then just looking up at the screen every once in a while to make sure there wasn't anything on the hallways.
Oh, you're getting brave. That's big talk from a night 3 guy. You get into night 6, let me know how that goes. Stuff gets hectic.
I mean, I still had hectic moments, even in just night 4 here. But it's just it's a little too simplistic. But I can see the appeal, especially for a younger audience, which is really what I think its claim to fame was, right? I mean, a lot of adults obviously enjoyed it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think what really blew it over the top was how many younger, young teens and preteens really loved this game, loved this series.
Yes, absolutely. Huge hit.
Right.
I wouldn't know. I was in college by the time it came out.
Right, yeah.
But I was aware of the cultural impact that it had.
Oh yeah.
Like, just like
watching the game theorists
like friends,
and
younger siblings.
Yeah, and then everybody else on YouTube playing it, and
Right. Yeah, and then like I know like the younger siblings of some of my friends were into the characters and into the games, and I was shocked because I was like, do you know what's actually going on here? It's really dark.
Right? This game's actually all about like child murders and
Right. Yeah. It's a very intense story. Do you know what's going on? And they're just like, well, there's Chica and Bonnie and Freddy, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. That's what's happening. Yeah. That's what's happening with you. To them, it was the equivalent of those games on the computer that we had when we were kids. That would get forwarded around. You know, they would send you like a maze.
Yeah.
And you were so concentrated on the maze, and then all of a sudden there was a jump scare.
If your mouse just barely goes off of the maze track or whatever, then I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember those growing up.
Jump scares you. Yeah. But so the thing for me, the thing for me, the rewarding part of coming back and playing it again was not the jump scares, because I'm so familiar with them now, especially having played most of the rest of the franchise and I've seen the rest of the franchise played in its entirety to an alarming degree,
right?
If I'm honest. But I've played a lot of it, but what's rewarding for me is trying to say that I beat it. Because for the earlier titles in the series, once you get to Night 4 and Night 5, and especially Night 6, and then the bonus unlockable mode, which is the all characters set to maximum AI.
Right, 2020 or whatever the 2020 they call it.
Mode.
Yeah, 2020 mode, topical.
420 mode, 5020 mode.
2020, worst year yet. 2020 mode, ultra hard. Ooh, Scott.
Ultra hard. Yeah. Once you get into that mode, unfortunately, it starts to become a bit luck based.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because I mean, there's definitely things I could have optimized in my play, but I noticed that there were some nights where somebody would stand at the door for like an hour, and the door uses so much electricity, and then there's other nights where they would only stand there for a couple minutes. So even on night 4, there's already some luck in it.
Yes.
But if I had optimized my play, I'm sure I could have beat Night 4 without running out of electricity anyways. But I can see as the difficulty goes up that would probably just get worse.
It's stressful.
Yeah. Which I think is what he was going for, though, right? Like that's the emotion that you're supposed to feel.
The panic.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're panic stricken because you're trying to figure it out, and you're stuck. You can't move.
Right.
And I think that adds a layer to it. So what you said is true for sure. It is the same thing that a traditional survival horror game would have you do, react to things that you don't want to because it puts you in danger. But I feel like at least for me, and I know a lot of the people that enjoy these games, the added layer of not being able to act, not being able to fight back in a traditional way with some kind of weapon, or even being able to avoid to a certain degree, because you can avoid even for so long. If you do slam your doors, the power will go out and you will be
and then
killed.
You're screwed. Yeah, you die either way at that point. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Golden Freddy's about
theoretically,
to pop
if I was
on the stream, I had no idea how to deal with him. I still don't know for sure. I ended up Googling it at one point, and because I had no idea how to deal with him. I don't know.
It's a so the strat, the most common used strat that I've seen and that I used is especially, it's not so much important on your first or second night, but from the third or fourth night on, what you want to do is, you technically in this first game do not have to check any other camera feed except for Pirate Cove. Foxy is the only animatronic that reacts to the camera.
Yeah, which I did realize that, and that's kind of what I started doing here in Night 4. But early on, I obviously didn't know that, right?
Right. Yeah, and he's the only one. You have to check the camera frequently, or he'll start to pop out of the curtain more and more and more.
Right.
And then I love his animation of like just dashing down the hallway,
right? Yeah,
and popping in the side of your door. He doesn't have an up in your face jump scare like the rest of them.
Right.
He just runs down the hallway. But if you catch that at the right time and you see it on the camera, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, and actually,
because none of the other characters move like that.
I realized he doesn't. There's a pause, right? So he comes out of the curtain. Then you have a set amount of time that he will not move. He'll just be completely off the cameras until you check one of the cameras, and then that animation triggers for him to actually come down the hallway. Because I actually started to use that to my advantage.
Yes.
I would see that the curtains were open. I would close the camera, close the door, and then I would go to camera whatever to trigger that animation of him coming down. But so yeah, I know the animation you're talking about. Seen it plenty of times.
Yeah. It happens a lot more frequently up in night 6 and 7.
I can imagine.
An added negative amount, an incentive for you to want to keep your camera trained on him, is when he does arrive at your door and it's closed, he bangs on the door, which takes power.
Oh, I didn't realize him banging on the door took power. That's interesting. Okay. Okay.
So you want to try to keep him stuck where he is. So what most people do is they only check Pirate Cove. You don't need to check anything else.
Right, yeah.
You use your door lights, but before you check Pirate Cove, you close the right door. Because in night 5 onward, the Freddy won't show up at the door the way Bonnie and Chica will.
Yeah.
Freddy hides behind your door.
Right.
Up in the camera. So the only way to ensure that he can't come into your room when you open the camera is by closing the right door before you open the camera.
Right.
So the tactic becomes light, close right door, camera, light, close right door, camera.
Interesting. Okay.
Like, yeah, there's a very rhythmic tactic that people found out is almost a foolproof way of just clutching the victory.
Right.
And and if that's all you're caring about, and you don't want to play it atmospherically, there it was. The animation.
Yeah. See, like I said,
I
didn't realize that kills me. My last night that I actually played, I ran out of power, and I could have swore, I mean, the footage will roll eventually, I could have swore that I still had like 15% power or something, and then I closed the door, waited, as soon as I heard him stop banging, I opened it up, because he only bangs for like 3 seconds or something like that. I opened my door, and I was at 0 power. And I was like, how did I lose so much power? I just had the door closed for like 3 seconds. So, man, that kills me. I did not know that. That's good to know. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and then so I was reading a little bit more after I had finished my time playing for the podcast. I read a little bit more about strategies and things like that. And another thing they mention is audio cues are a huge thing in this game. Apparently, it's not just random noises that are going on in the background. It's actual like cues for what the different animatronics are doing, which I kind of thought they might be, but they seemed so random that I just kind of blew it off. But that leads me to my point, though, which is the audio design for this game is actually quite good, in my opinion. That is one of the big bonuses I will give to it.
Yes.
The overall atmosphere.
And it only improves.
Yeah, I believe it, definitely, yeah. But the overall atmosphere and sound design, I think, are the two strongest points of this game. Gameplay, I've said some kind of negative things about it. The game itself, same thing. But those two things, I have no real complaints. Like, atmosphere-wise, bang on. Yeah. It's awesome. Audio design, especially knowing that it was a one-man job, amazing. Like, really good job with that.
Yes. Yeah, some really, really good. This game definitely benefits from headphones.
Yeah, I imagine. I actually was using speakers,
sound
but
experience.
Yeah, I'm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can hear a lot of thumping from either side. That's Bonnie and Chica. Freddy moves almost silently. Chica, you can hear her in the kitchen. That lets you know that she's getting closer to you. The kitchen doesn't have a camera feed, but when she's in the kitchen, you hear banging and clanging of like pots and pans.
Okay.
So you can tell that she's moving closer because you can hear her in the kitchen. Foxy sings to himself. You can hear like when Foxy's getting ready to open the curtain, you can hear like dum 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 dum.
Maybe it's because I wasn't wearing headphones, but I don't think I ever actually heard that before. Interesting.
Yeah, he hums and sings to himself. Watch a playthrough or something, and you'll hear the like the YouTubers commenting on Foxy.
That's cool. Okay, neat.
Yeah, and as the series progresses and the sequels, the audio cues and the audio design are so much more important.
Oh yeah,
he removed a lot of emphasis from the cameras in a lot of ways. And gave you more things to juggle and to worry about. The second game is notoriously the hardest because there's so much thrown at you and it's so much of a departure from the first game.
Well, and I think it's probably because
second layer to the map.
If I had to guess, he probably heard how many people made the same complaints I made, basically. And it was like, all right, well, then I'll fix it by adding all of these things. And just kind of went a little too far with it, if I had to guess. Right. But obviously, I haven't played the other games, so just speculation on my part. I've watched some other people play and watched a lot of lore, but that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in the second game, for instance, there's no more doors.
Right.
You have lights, but the lights are tied to battery power, not building power. So it doesn't trip you in that way. Where if you run out of power, it's an insta kill, almost guaranteed to kill. It doesn't have to be. You can technically, if you're close enough at 5 a.m., the clock can roll over and you'll make it. But
it's unlikely to happen.
In the second game, they substitute some of that with there's a secondary portion of the map. The animatronics can move through the vents.
Yeah.
So you can hear the audio cues of them getting in and out of the vents.
I remember.
And when they appear in your room, you're supposed to put this Freddy mask down on your face to try to trick them into thinking that you're an animatronic. And you have to wind up a music box remotely, which triggers like a new scary animatronic that was introduced.
Yeah, it was like a ballerina or something, wasn't it?
It was the puppet.
Oh,
the marionette.
Yeah. That was the one.
Yeah. But it just progresses from there. There's every game comes with some sort of different complexity to the gameplay. The fourth game actually has no cameras at all. You don't play as a security guard. You play as a child, it would seem, in a bedroom, frantically running back and forth to check your doors. And all you can do is peek out of your bedroom door and click your flashlight on and off. So that game relies almost entirely on
audio cues.
Off of audio
So kind
cues.
of a return to the original game here, then kind of return to roots. I mean, you don't have cameras, but in the sense that you lose... you don't have so many options, right? Because kind of like in this game, like you said, you really don't even need the camera for the most part in this game. It's mostly about checking the hallways and closing your door. So really, it's like two big things that you're doing.
Right.
So it kind of sounds almost like a return to roots to me, where you just have like two things to focus on, not including audio cues, obviously. But
yes. The character design of the animatronics in that game, though, horrifying.
Just fine. Fine.
So much scarier. Horrifying.
Horrifying. I thought you said just fine.
So horrifying. No, horrifying. There's
Which one,
so much work. They're like rotted and
Yeah, yeah. Which one is it that has the I forget what he's called now, but he's like he's completely bare, has no like suit at all on him.
oh, okay. Yendo, I believe you're talking about in the sister location game. He's
Probably
just an
I honestly can't
endoskeleton.
remember his name, but probably I just remember that one always being kind
Yeah.
of creepy to me. I don't know. Um,
Mm-hmm. There's actually a really good segment in the. I could talk about this all day. Clearly, there's a
right.
really good segment in the VR
Yeah,
game where you're they obviously redid the first three, the first four even,
right.
to put them in a VR mode for people to experience because there was like really horrible modded VR support for these games when they came out and it was awful.
Right.
Nobody liked it, but it was a VR remake and it was incredible
So
what
I
they
didn't
were able
realize
to
that the
accomplish.
VR game was
Um,
just the games, but in VR. I didn't actually know that. Sort
um,
of.
sort of. Yeah, it was completely remade from
Yeah.
the ground up. It had to be, of course, to give you a real 3D perspective because what you're looking at in the background here is obviously just a just a
Yeah,
baked
yeah,
image.
it's just a 2D texture. That
Moving
doesn't
back and
even
forth.
completely smoothly
Yeah,
scroll. There's some it looks almost like you're looking through a camera lens because it's not
some
even
tearing.
tearing, it's a consistent there's consistent lines
Right.
in the textures that move with the camera. So it's almost like you're looking
Yep.
through a camera in the game,
Mm-hmm.
is what it reminded me of, like a smudged camera,
Yeah.
which was just a little
Yeah.
weird, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. And
Right.
after a couple minutes, I completely like
Right.
just
And
forgot about it. But it was one of the weird things I noticed whenever I first started playing.
right. Right. Yeah. But the yeah, it was completely rebuilt. But he added so much more than that. He did remake the first four games in VR. Not so much the fourth game as the
Right.
first three, because like all the first three have all of the knights are playable. The fourth game he did something a little different with, and then there's a lot of added stuff on top of that. There's something called repair, the repair shop, where you get up close and personal and repair the animatronics, and if you don't do it in just the right way, they spring to life.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, there's there's a there's a vent repair stage where Yendo is chasing you through several stories of vents as you move your way down on an elevator, and you have to complete these puzzles in a certain way as you move up and down the vents to keep him from being able to get to you. And it's very very interesting, and
Right.
I can't wait until the new one comes out. I'm not gonna be able to play it right away because I'm not springing
Right.
for a PS5
Well, I mean, it might
just
come out
yet.
for
But
PS4 too. I'm not sure if
I'm
it was like
very
a true exclusive or
yeah.
yeah, I'm not positive.
I don't even have.
I wonder how it's gonna play
I don't even have
on
one of those. But
PlayStation
anyway,
5 on console. Have any of the previous games released on console or
yeah, no,
not to your
I
knowledge? Yeah.
don't think so. And if they have, it was definitely an
Right.
afterthought.
Yeah.
Because I don't see how the controls could translate very well. It works fine for mobile
That's true.
because with the
Right.
game you're really just
Yeah.
pointing and clicking with the mouse. And except for when you, I think when you get in the later games, they introduce like hotkeys
Sure.
for things like E and I think like A and D, close your doors.
Just
and
little quality of
like
life things,
Q
not
and E,
anything
toggle your
major
lights on
yet.
and off.
Which I imagine, if it's keeping
Right.
the same format as these games, I imagine
Yeah.
that's just what they'll do with the PlayStation version as well, or the console version. Your thumbstick will look back and forth or whatever,
Mhm.
and then you'll just use the face buttons. Like square will close left door, circle will close right door, triangle will turn on left light, X will turn on right light. Or whatever. I mean, we don't know what the mechanics are going to be for the next game, but just as an example, I imagine it'll probably be something
Right.
like that.
Or
L
even
buttons,
the
L and R's,
even the
yeah,
triggers.
yeah, that would work too.
Yeah, the
Right.
bumpers and the triggers there. But it looks from the teasers, the very little footage that we have, that you're gonna be to some extent free roam. You're gonna be moving around, which I imagine is gonna piss some people off.
Right.
Because like I was saying before, something that entrances you into the experience of this one is that it turns the genre on its head. That's what it got
Right.
famous for, was being such a departure and such a unique thing. And now they're gonna come along and perhaps make a more traditional horror
Yeah, I mean,
game
we'll see what
out
they'll
of the
do.
genre. It's interesting.
I know, just from like my perspective, though, I would enjoy it so much more. I feel like Because I think what it is, because don't get me wrong, anybody listening, or Scott, if he ever hears this by some ungodly chance, it's not that the game's bad. It's a personal thing. I really hate mobile games. I can't get into 99% of mobile games.
Right.
And I don't mean this to be rude, but that's what this feels like. I know it wasn't originally made as a mobile game, but it feels like that's what it was made for. Right? You have these nights. Each night's only 15 minutes long. Perfect amount of time for a mobile game, for a session or whatever. You only have like 4 different buttons you have to click.
Right.
Perfect for a mobile game.
Are the nights that long on this?
Roughly. I don't know exactly how long they are. I'm just estimating. It's probably closer to like 5. It's probably closer to like 5-10 minutes, to be honest, but I'm really not sure. But regardless, I'm saying each night is a very short, relatively short period of time. So like it's just perfect for mobile, right? When you're on the go on your phone on the bus or whatever, you don't want to spend, an hour playing one level of a game. You want to spend 8 minutes and 36 seconds, which is how long the night is in this game, playing a level or whatever. So that's perfect. Like, to me, the whole game just feels like it was made for mobile, and I don't like mobile games.
Right.
Again, I praise the artwork, I praise the atmosphere, I praise the music, or not the music itself, but like the sound design, overall sound design. But just the game itself, I can't really get that into it.
Right.
I will say,
Gotcha.
Just one more thing before we transition to the next topic here. They did actually decrease the time on the mobile version, however. According to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator.fandom.wiki, the PC version was 8 minutes 36 seconds. However, on mobile, they reduced each hour to 45 seconds, making the entire night last 4 minutes and 30 seconds. They actually made the night half as long.
That is the new standard. I know in the for instance, there's the 2 newer ones. There's Pizzeria Simulator, which has and sister location as well, has an unlockable custom night where you can stack up the characters and play different varieties of challenge. Sister location's custom night was pretty famous, and then he released Ultimate Custom Night, which was just a boss rush battle royale. There was 50 characters to choose from. You could personalize their AI settings from 0 to 20, and you could stack them up in whatever way that you pleased. And the standard for those were 45-second hours.
That's weird. Yeah. Okay.
So the 4 minute and 30
It's weird to me to take a game that was already made and based around one time frame to reduce it so drastically, because I feel like that would completely change the feel of the game.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. It was just weird to me when I read that. So I'm sorry though. You can what was it? You were trying to transition into another topic.
No, you're good. Yeah, well, I was, but I mean, when you get to Ultimate Custom Night, it's such an endurance marathon. You'll be thanking God.
Right.
It's 4 hours and 4 minutes and 30 seconds, because, oh my God, nobody could make an 8 minute night when you get into like all the characters set to AI 10.
Yeah, right.
Something crazy. So anyway, what I was going to transition into is, so let's move past gameplay and the technical aspect of thing, and talk about what everybody loves about this game, the story.
Yeah.
That's the draw, the story, the lore of the environment. And there's, I mean, unfortunately, so
much of it
to cover.
Which is
but
very weird, because if you just play the game, right? If you've never played this game before, I want you to do. I just want you to do something for me. Don't look up anything about this game. If you know nothing about it, don't look anything up. Don't even finish listening to us talk about the story here.
Nope.
Just play through as much of the first game as you can handle.
Right.
Come back and tell me how much story you think there is in this series. I guarantee you're going to tell me next to none. And then look up how much story there is in this series of games. It is ridiculous.
Oh my God. Yeah. And that's
what I love about it. I've never even played the games, and I love that about it. Like,
right. I like 100% believe wholeheartedly that he didn't intend.
Right. Yeah.
When he set out to make the first game, he probably had a rough outline in mind of like maybe where it could go and what the origin might be. Yeah. And that's about all you can yield from this game. and it's mostly told through snippets of phone messages from Phone Guy, which is a recording of Scott.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, that is Scott, obviously, because he didn't have the money to hire voice actors.
Well, I think later on he used Fiverr.
Phone Guy calls you
Sorry to interrupt,
at the beginning,
but later on, because he's still a single man operation, or at least he was for a long time. If I'm not mistaken, for games like 2, 3, 4, for the sound effects and voices and whatnot, he just went on Fiverr.com and hired voice actors. Which, I mean, I love it. Yeah. I just love it as an indie developer. Like,
like amateur. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hired like amateur, kind of unknown people to do the voice acting, and they knocked it out of the park. Especially in like Sister Location, the voice of Funtime Freddy and Circus Baby, amazing.
Right.
So when you're introduced to this game, you get phone calls each of the nights. You get a phone call on your first night, and there's this happy sounding guy on the other side of the phone, and he's leaving you messages from not beyond the grave, but they're old, they're outdated by a
which
week
at first they don't tell you. Yeah, the first phone call he makes no mention of that. It's not actually until like the third-ish night where you realize that this is actually pre-recorded messages you're listening to, not some guy actually on the phone with you right now.
Yes. Right. Yeah. So he's recording each of his nights as you play your nights. So he records his first night on which the message plays on your first night, and then so on and so forth until he presumably dies on his fourth night. Which I did a lot on my fourth
like I said early on in this podcast, that's as far as I made it. I wasn't able to make it past the fourth.
Yeah.
Close a couple times, but nope.
Yeah. And then the fifth night, you're treated to this horrible, screeching, otherworldly noises, which, if you listen very closely, you hear a voice mutter something about the joy of creation.
Nice.
And that ended up being a spin-off homage game that somebody made with Unreal Engine 4. Some scary-ass animatronics. It's amazing to me that is all the way back in this game, because as you get into the story and the lore, what you get from the games at least is you get this story of a family that the father of which created these animatronics, and he created them special. And he also had a penchant for murdering children.
Pretty much.
And he used his animatronics in his pizzeria to lure children because he wanted their souls. And a lot of that gets uncovered throughout the thing. And you find out that he was trying to discover some way to harness soul energy. And again, this is 6 years in the making. This is spread across all of the games, all of the books, all of the random posts by Scott on his website, and
secrets
like
hidden
that.
in the code to his website.
This is not spelled out in any way.
Mini games where you have to like glitch through walls and shit to get out of bounds to find the secret ending to a mini game inside the game so that you can get another ending. Like, this dude's ridiculous. I love it. But this dude is ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, you find out that the creator of these animatronics was trying to harness human souls, specifically those of children for some reason, and he wanted to harness that energy somehow and ended up creating monsters. Yes. He ended up creating monsters. The human souls possessed the creatures that he created, either through his will or not, and eventually they become his hell. That's the plot of Pizzeria Simulator and Ultimate Custom Night, the two official/unofficial sequels, more spinoffs than sequels. You find out that eventually he meets his death, and he gets tortured in hell by being killed over and over and over by the animatronics, which are possessed with the souls of the children he murdered. So,
because with Scott in these games, nobody actually knows.
No, nobody actually knows. He's starting to spell it out a bit more. There was an actual recorded voice acting bit at the end of Pizzeria Simulator, where there's a voice actor that actually spells out what's happening. He records a voice message for William Afton, which is the creator that I've been talking about, that created all of these animatronics. and he speaks directly to him, and he tells him that he's going to burn in hell for what he's done, and that he's going to set the building on fire, and everybody in it's going to die, and it's all his fault, and like he just goes on this great big message. But even that is a secret ending. You have to play the game a certain way in
a very specific way at that. Like, it's honestly amazing that people have found all these little Easter eggs and secrets and things. Even things like posters on the wall here changing or being colored and then not colored, and just crazy little details that only get more and more extravagant as the series progresses. It's insane. And it's the like I said, it's the thing that I like Five Nights at Freddy's. Not as a game, but as something to watch. It is so entertaining. Not even necessarily to watch the game be played, but like watching Matt Pat talk about the game, or, you know, various other people as well, but Matt Pat being, I think, the largest of the group, is so interesting in the lore for the game. I've watched, I'm pretty sure, every video he's put out on it, because I love it. And I love what Scott does with hiding these Easter eggs and things as well. I just, I look forward to that PlayStation 5 game because I want to see what style of game it ends up being.
Yes. I have a feeling that it will, and I know this might be blasphemy, but I have a feeling, if I had to make a guess, that it's going to go much in the style of like Hello Neighbor or We Happy Few. Right. That sort of thing. A very eerie feeling to the game versus an abject horror. I don't think it's going to end up being sort of like a Silent Hill horror game or any of the other big genres out there. I feel like it's going to have a very squeaky clean, polished look, but still achieve that eerie atmosphere that the games have enjoyed this entire time. That's the impression that I'm getting, at least from the teaser trailers. And
I can see that. Yeah. I mean, and honestly, whenever I first saw the trailer, at first I didn't even realize it was a Five Nights at Freddy's game. And I was pretty excited for it. I was like, oh, this looks really cool. And then I think it showed, it's been a while. I only watched the trailer once, but I'm pretty sure at first it just shows like some eerie shots of like some scenery and things like that. And then slowly it starts introducing elements of like the animatronics. Yeah. And I was like, hold on, what is that? Is this a Five Nights at Freddy's ripoff? What is this? And then all of a sudden Five Nights at Freddy's pops up and I was like, oh shit. Did not expect that.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm very excited to watch all my favorite YouTubers take a crack at the new game. Yeah, I will play it at my earliest convenience, I guarantee it. But in the meantime, I will enjoy watching them take this on. I will enjoy Matt Pat's weekly theories.
As he pretty much weekly theories,
it's
insane.
As he scrambles. Yeah, every time I knew one of these games out, every time I knew one of these games come out, he spends a solid 2 or 3 months releasing 2 or 3 theories each month about the game and all the new things that he's figured out this time and all of that sort of thing. So I look forward to that. As far as the game itself, would you recommend it to somebody? Would you play just one more level, see if you can conquer that fourth night?
It's complicated. Personally, I don't think I will. And I'll admit I've already uninstalled the game. But that's just me personally. Yeah, I uninstalled it after I did my hour and a half. I was like, all right, cool. I played that game. Not going to touch that again. Now, that being said, I haven't put it into my finished category on Steam because I have a category on Steam for all the games like I've finished, that I've beaten, done everything I think there is to do in it. I haven't put it in there, so I haven't completely given up on it. Okay. But I know I've had my fill for quite a while. That being said, though, I don't want to discourage anybody else from trying it because I recognize that this just isn't my kind of game. I don't think this is a bad game at all, outside of not having any sort of options menu at all. Scott, what are you doing? Fix this game. Outside of that, I don't think this is a bad game at all. I just recognize it's not my kind of game. And on top of that, as somebody who enjoyed the story and lore and watching Matt Pat's videos and whatnot for so long, I am happy to help Scott, like to pay it forward to Scott at this point. I've enjoyed his franchise by proxy for years now without ever actually giving him anything. So yeah, I mean, like, and for $5, this game is so cheap, and most of the other games are around the $5 to $20 mark. They're relatively cheap as well. By all means, I say it's worth
trying. See if it is your kind of game. So would I play it just one more level? Probably not. But
Right.
should you? Try it and see for yourself. I'm on the fence.
Right. I feel that. Do you feel as if you've completed this one enough to attempt any of these
Probably,
sequels?
and normally I'm not that type of person that'll play a game before I finished another one. But I've watched so much of the lore for these games, and the games themselves don't give you very much of the lore anyways,
Right.
that I'm not sure that applies as much to these games.
Right.
It's kind of, I don't know. It's a weird
yeah.
one. I think that I would be willing to play the second one before I technically finish the first one.
Right. I don't even know if I can.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I tried the
I've
fourth night
never
here
made it
like
past
3
night
times or
4.
something like that and was unable to finish it 4 times maybe. So yeah, I may be unable to as well.
Right. Yeah. I would very much play one more level. My goal in life is to beat all of these games. I think that would be like just an interesting thing for me to do. I've seen other YouTubers do it a ton of times, so I'm very familiar with the types of things that you're supposed to be doing to find some of these secrets and different things like that. But I think it would be a very unique experience for me to sit down and try to figure it out myself. And who knows, maybe even discover something that somebody
Which is a possibility. I don't know what the data mining scene is like for these games, but I mean, with as many secrets as Scott has hidden in here, yeah, I feel like anybody, honestly, if they play enough and pay enough attention, they could find something that nobody else has noticed.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So, yes, I would play just one more level. I would play just one more game. Play the whole.
Big surprise to no one.
franchise.
The
I
guy
own the
who
whole
said
franchise,
that.
except for the VR game. I have the AR.
The guy who said that
Yeah.
he loves the series in the beginning of the podcast would play it again. I mean, that's just like me last week with Final Fantasy, and the week before that with God of War. Same thing. Obviously, I was gonna say yes.
Right. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. But I yes, I very much enjoy it. I would get a VR headset just to play FNAF VR. I would get the next gen console to play the new FNAF launch title. I genuinely would. With the intention of doing much more than that. I'm not gonna run out and spend $500 or $600, whatever the price tag's gonna be for the PS5.
$4.99 for the disc
it,
version,
but
$3.99 for the discless version, if I'm not mistaken. Coming out November 12th. # not sponsored.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy the disc version.
Yeah, I'll definitely get the disc version. I'm not a digital guy. Which is weird because I'm a PC player and all my games are digital. I own like 1,400 digital games, but not on console. I don't know what it is.
I call it being a hipster. I just like having something that I can touch and collect. I like having a game that I can collect for my game system. PC, it feels a little different for me. I'm just fine with having digital games on the PC. And even like I own like old digital games on like my PS3. Like I have some PS1 and PS2 games from the virtual store on my PS3. But when it comes to games that were built and made for the PlayStation 3,
and there's other reasons for it too. Like for instance, oh shit, I forget the name of the company. There's this really cool company that makes retro handhelds and consoles, but they do it without emulation. They do it using FPGAs, which are like special chips that mimic original hardware of things. So if you have your original copies of these games, you can pop it in, and it's basically like playing on an upgraded version of that original console, which is just awesome. Like that's the best way basically to play like classic Nintendo games, classic N64, Turbo Graphics, Game Boy Advance, all that, because they have HDMI output, they have clearer picture output, better sound output, all this, but you're still playing your original cartridge, which is just really cool. If you buy your games digital, you're shit out of luck. Like without some hacks, like getting one of those consoles and then hacking it so that you can play a ROM on it or whatever, you have no other option. So it's just really cool to have physical copies of these things. Whereas on PC, you can just play games from 30 years ago on the same PC. Like I can load up a game from the 1980s on Windows 10, and with some tweaking, it'll work just fine. You can't do that with the PlayStation 5. I can't pop in a PlayStation 3 game and just have it work. Like, so yeah. Anyways, sorry, tangent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, no.
Right.
I agree. It needs to be heard. I'm on board. Like I just recently found out something that is amazing to me, and I was telling you about it, that there's a like an emulator software that works as an emulator for PS2
Right.
games when you download ROMs of them, but you
Yeah,
don't
yeah, you
have
can
to
play them on your
download the
disc.
ROMs
Yeah.
if you have the game,
Which is cool.
Which makes it completely completely
Yeah,
legal.
you don't have to go through all the trouble of
and
ripping your
viable. I mean,
games and then keeping digital copy of your game and everything like that. If you don't care for backing up your games in that way, you can just pop your disc in and play it like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, all you need is a good old fashioned just a DVD drive.
Right.
That blew my mind. I thought for sure that you were gonna need some special sort of encoding or hacking software to get the disc to read on the PC, but
Nope.
just that emulation software that you would normally be using for a ROM. You just pop the disc in
Done.
and play it right on your computer. That blew my mind. I played because before I busted out the CRT for God of War, I tried to play it on the computer just to see if it works, because I heard about that, and I loaded it up and I was playing God of War for the PlayStation 2, the original copy of the disc, on a PC using an Xbox One controller.
Yep.
That felt very surreal. I felt like a master hacker.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was a very, very strange feeling.
But all right, yeah.
But
any closing thoughts, or you think that's pretty much
we've established
pretty much
I
it,
would play. Closing thoughts, I would say very excited for where this franchise is headed. The new game has obviously been they spent a lot of time on it. They've done a lot of work on it, and I can't wait to see where that goes. I wish they'd hurry up and just put the movie out already. It's been in limbo since about Five Nights at Freddy's 2 or 3. I believe Blumhouse Studios own the rights to it currently. They're the ones developing the scripts. Blumhouse is responsible for a lot of modern horror movies that a lot of people love. Get Out was made by Blumhouse. Okay. The Happy Death Day movies made by Blumhouse. The new Blair Witch like reboot type thing. The Bye Bye Man. So what I'm doing here is showcasing the very best, the very worst
that they have produced.
The studio can put out. Yeah. So it's just a name. But they all have a sort of familiar feel to them. Whether they're good or bad, they all have a sort of like realistic, gritty vibe to them. And a lot of times, a lot of the stuff can be very visceral and violent and real. So I'm very excited to see what they could do with the property. And I read that movie that came out just a little bit ago, the Banana Splits movie. You ever heard of that? The Banana Splits movie is a parody reimagining of an old 60s British TV show called The Banana Splits. And the Banana Splits were mascot characters, similar to Five Nights at Freddy's. They weren't necessarily animatronics, they were people in suits, but a lot of people said that they were kind of creepy back in the day. And the Banana Splits movie was reportedly the original first draft of the Five Nights at Freddy's scripts that leaked. Okay. And somebody got their hands on it, and they used this old 60s British property and applied it to the Five Nights at Freddy's script. So in the movie, the Banana Splits aren't portrayed in costume, they're animatronics. And they like kind of get loose and they start following these people through a studio and hunting them down and killing them. So it was very interesting to see within the context of hearing that rumor. And can't wait for the future, is what I'm trying to say. Can't wait for some new books, some new game theories. Not sponsored.
And that's my thing. For me, it's I'm excited. I'm excited to see more about the lore, to maybe get a little bit of closure on what exactly is going on. Mm-hmm. And I'm just excited to see Scott succeed, because it's awesome, and I love to hear, small indie devs going big, That's amazing. So good for him, good for his family, his team, and
absolutely.
That's awesome. John, where can we find you at, man?
Yeah. You can find me on YouTube at The Dorseman. I am going to be on Twitch, I believe. I've made a Twitch now. Haven't streamed anything there yet, but stay tuned. for a potential Twitch version.
Yeah.
It's at the Doors Man, of course. Everything's at the Doors Man, except for even Twitter is at the Doors Man, but it's technically John Dorsey one because names on Twitter you have to set your name and you can never change it. I've had the same Twitter name since 2010. Instagram at John Dorsey, and that's pretty much it for me.
Of course, yeah. So
what
I'm on
about
Twitch,
you?
obviously. We stream the recording of these podcasts on Twitch if you guys ever want to catch it early. We don't have a set schedule for when we record, though, so you just kind of have to have them notifications on and get the alert from either Twitter or Twitch that we are going to be going live with the podcast. And that's at Stream All the Steam over there on Twitch. Right. On YouTube as well, same thing, Stream All the Steam. I'm a little sporadic on when I upload or anything like that, and to be honest, these days it's pretty much just VODs that I upload. Maybe a little bit of editing, but just barely, to be honest with you. So if there's a certain game series you're interested in or something that you see that I'm playing on Twitter or on Twitch, and you want to check out the whole thing, then YouTube's the place to do that. And then, of course, Twitter, I've mentioned it a couple times already. I am Stream the Steam. Just Stream the Steam, not Stream All the Steam on Twitter. And that's simply because Twitter has a limit to how long your names can be and things like that. So I had to shorten it down a little bit. But, yeah, well, Stupid it is Twitter. What it is. But next week, so we just finished up FNAF. Next week, Jonathan, we had a last-minute change of plans for next week. So we are now playing Silent Hill, right? Is the plan? That's
Silent
That's
Hill
right. The first one released in 1999 is what we're going to be doing. And I'm lucky enough to have that game, so I'm going to be playing that probably on I don't know, relatively soon. I don't know when exactly, but look forward to that on Twitch, maybe YouTube at some point if you want to see me play some Silent Hill in preparation for the next podcast. Yeah.
Right. I'm very excited. Very excited. Because I've only ever sampled Silent Hill. I played probably an hour or two of Silent Hill 2, the remaster for the PS3.
I honestly I forget which one. I've only ever beat one of them. And it was a remake or remaster or something of one of them. I just don't remember which one it was. So honestly, I'm pretty excited too to start from the beginning of the series. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And after Silent Hill, though, we are doing a little bit of a special. So instead of waiting a whole week, we'll have another episode coming up just a couple days after that on October 31st. Bet nobody would have guessed that. Where we are going to be playing a small handful of games. Phasmophobia, a new indie hit where you play as some ghost hunters. The original Resident Evil game on PlayStation 1. Ghosts and Goblins on the NES. And then this little tiny indie game called Structural, which it's unlikely very many of you have heard of, but it's interesting and it's free. So that'll be fun. That'll be coming up on Halloween, hopefully. Yep. So, yeah.
Hopefully. Absolutely. All right. So thank you all so much for listening. That's right. You didn't have to.
We do. We really do.
And we appreciate
if anybody watches last week's episode, which was, what was it, Final Fantasy, you'll recognize that I decided not to do some editing. Surprise, surprise, I took the lazy route. Jonathan didn't say his trademark, thank you. And I was so upset. I had said something to him, and he was like, it's fine, we'll just redo it. But I had already cut my audio at that point. But I didn't tell John this. So we're bantering a tiny bit, redoing the ending, and he's recording himself throughout the entire thing. And I listen back every time before I put the podcast up. I listen back to it from beginning to end to make sure everything sounds okay. And I realized I forgot to cut the ending. But I had already trimmed it down and everything, so there wasn't big long pauses where I was talking. It was just John rapid fire, talking to himself, saying random things, doing his trademark ending. And I was like, you know what? It's great. I love it. I'm just gonna leave it. It's perfect. So even if you don't want to watch the entire episode from last time, check out the end. It's some fun stuff. It's some fun stuff.
I haven't even checked out the end myself.
Yeah, you should. You should. It's great.
I always throw it on in the background when it comes out just to see how it turned out.
It's it's nothing it's relatively short. Vain. So it's not it's only 30 seconds or something like that. Okay. Once I cut out all the dead space and everything, but it's just I had a chuckle whenever I heard it, so I decided to leave it. But one last time though, thank you so much everybody for joining. Okay. We hope you enjoyed spending some time with us today, and we hope you'll come back again next week. Bye bye, y'all.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.